exactly what you want to see. Let's run this puppy in. Score a touchdown and tie this game. Life, run for your life, touchdown on one play. Worked on this in practice. Touchdown. It's up to Kelvin Benjamin. This is all you, buddy. Kelvin Benjamin for a touchdown. Oh, he toasted his man. Holmes toasted his man. Spin move. Oh! Oh! What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the World of Juice channel, and welcome to a little bit of a special here on today's noon upload, because the Buckeyes aren't playing today. And since the Buckeyes are on a bye week this week, I thought we could take a look back and review the first 6 weeks of the Buckeye season. Kind of do a little bit of a recap of my emotions throughout the season and highlight some things that were really crazy. So let's honor some people that played really well the first half of the season, and that is Treyvion Henderson above all else. Treyvion Henderson, a true freshman who did not play high school football last year because of the pandemic, stepped onto the field and dominated from week 1 at Minnesota in that night game on Thursday night. He stepped on the field, dominated then, and has dominated pretty much every game since. He set some freshman records so far. He's like top 3 in rushing in a game now at Ohio State. Like, he's just dominating so far. He's been one of the bright spots, the brightest spot of this season so far. But if we're going to take a look at things that went well, we might as well take a look at some things that went wrong. So, as you all know, I've let my peace, I've made my peace known about this situation. The Buckeyes took on Oregon in week number 2. They came into the shoe and they ran the football down our throats. They ran the same play 3 times and scored on each one of those 3 plays. And Oregon walked into the shoe and beat the Buckeyes. And that was not my happiest moment. That was not my favorite time to be a Buckeye fan. The Buckeyes should not have lost that game, but it's completely on the Buckeyes. They beat themselves. If the Buckeyes played even a little bit better, if they adjusted a little bit to what Oregon was doing, they probably, they still don't win the game, but they probably make Oregon sweat a little bit and make them think about the Buckeyes possibly coming back if they just adjusted a little bit on defense. And yeah, CJ Stroud, that was his second ever game as a starter, so he was still trying to get used to things, and the shoulder was still a factor at that point. So a lot of things didn't go the Buckeyes' way. So the Buckeyes lose to Oregon, and that was a rough start. That was a very, very rough start. You don't see a lot of Buckeye teams that start out the season 1-1. So then you go on, you just destroy everybody else that you play. The defense starts to look a little bit better, although the defense really didn't start to look better until the Akron game. The Tulsa game, they allowed like 500-plus yards of total offense, which is not acceptable, let alone against Tulsa. So the defense was still struggling. Then they play Akron, they play Rutgers, they dominate both of those teams. They play Maryland, they dominate the Maryland team. So this defense is finally starting to figure things out. I'm super excited about that. Now, yes, it's against very, very bad competition. It's much lesser competition. We'll find out how this defense reacts when they play Penn State, when they play Michigan State, Michigan, all of these teams that are really good. And notice how I didn't say Nebraska in that, because Nebraska's not good. But we'll find out how the defense plays when they go up against actual competition. So I am excited to see the continuation of the CJ Stroud project, because at this point, I don't think it's much of a project anymore. He's had 3 games now, back-to-back weeks, where he's looked good. Actually, 2 weeks, because he didn't play the Akron game. So the Rutgers game and the Maryland game, he's looked really good. He's looked confident. He's looked poised. He's looked accurate, which was the main flaw in CJ's game to start the season. He was missing guys way too high. He was just throwing behind guys. He was just missing his spots, missing his targets. He had wide open guys on several occasions that he just missed. And he was looking like a freshman quarterback in those first couple of weeks. But now he sat out. The shoulder is supposedly healthy, and he's looked really good. He dominated the Rutgers game. He dominated the Maryland game. He made amazing plays on his feet in the pocket, escaping pressure, making things happen, finding the open guy. CJ's looked really good in the second part of the first part of the season, if you know what I mean. So I'm very excited to see the continuation of that. Obviously, Treyvion Henderson, I'm excited to see how he plays against better competition, because Maryland was stopping the run, and they still found a way to get Treyvion Henderson involved in the passing game, and he had 2 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns receiving, and he was explosive on each one of them. So he's just a different animal. He's built different, and I'm excited to see him used in both of those ways moving forward. And we haven't even talked about the best wide receiver core in the country. You cannot make an argument against me saying that, oh, Alabama's wide receiver core is better. Oh, Georgia's wide receiver core is better. Oh, yada yada. Name your team. Name your team. They are not better than the Ohio State Buckeye wide receiver core. You have 3 guys, just the top 3, that are like top 5, top 10 in all of the receiving stats across the country. And then not to mention all the 5-star guys you have behind them. You got Julian Fleming, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka. You've got all of these guys. And there's more that I haven't even mentioned. Plus Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, there's no better wide receiver core in the country. There's no better threesome in the country at wide receiver. Chris Olave, top 5 pick. Garrett Wilson, top 5 pick. Jackson Smith and Jigba, first round pick, maybe even top 15 pick, depending on how he plays the rest of the season. So there's not really a question that the Ohio State Buckeye team is not the best in the country in terms of wide receivers, because they are. They're the best wide receiver room in the country. There's no debating. Alabama, no. Oklahoma, no. Michigan State, no. Michigan, no. Oh, Penn State, definitely no. There's nobody. Georgia, Cincinnati, forget about it. And for people saying that Cincinnati's the best Ohio team, just let the teams run into each other. If Cincinnati and Ohio State play, 99 out of 100 times, the Buckeyes will win that game, because it's just simply better talent. And that's not a slight on Cincinnati. I like Cincinnati. They're a good team. They will probably make the playoffs this year if they go undefeated, which is shocking to say, because the playoff committee is going to lose a lot of money because boosters and advertising aren't going to want to pay for Cincinnati to be in there. So, because they're not a brand name school, and you know that the playoffs is all about brand names. So they're going to take a decent hit on money if Cincinnati makes the playoffs, but they deserve to be in there if they're undefeated, and they've played a pretty tough schedule so far. So I wouldn't be mad that Cincinnati would be in there, but just let Cincinnati run into Ohio State, especially if Ohio State plays well. They only have the 1 loss against Oregon, and their defense has dominated, like Michigan State, Michigan, Penn State, Nebraska, Indiana, all those teams. It's not going to be much of a question. There's just a talent difference. There's barely any 5 stars on Cincinnati's squad. There's all 5 stars on Ohio State's squad. And I'm not saying that 5 stars matter that much. Yes, there's a bunch of scenarios where 3 stars and 4 stars are better than 5 stars. 5 stars don't always pan out. But when you play at Ohio State, you are a level above. That's just facts. You can't argue that. You are a level above. There's reasons that Jameson Williams didn't play at Ohio State and had to transfer out to Alabama. And now Jameson Williams is one of the best wide receivers in the country. He was at Ohio State, and he couldn't get on the field. That's how talented Ohio State players are. When you have one of the best wide receivers in the country who couldn't get on the field because there's so much more talent ahead of him. And that's at every single position. So Cincinnati, they're a fun team. I like them, but they are not the best team in Ohio. That's just facts. It's just straight facts. You cannot argue it. They are. Yes, they're undefeated, but they wouldn't be if they played Ohio State. So, well, with that out of the way, we need to talk quickly about the defense, because I've mentioned it in the video earlier. The defense struggled. That's an understatement. The defense struggled very, very much against the early teams in the season. Minnesota, obviously Oregon. I mean, they struggled heavily against those teams, but they started to figure it out. They needed that momentum boost. They needed that confidence boost against Akron. They killed Akron with pressuring the quarterback, causing turnovers, all that good stuff. The defensive line finally came together and got to the quarterback. The linebackers actually looked like they weren't moving in sand and they weren't moving in mud. They actually looked fast and looked competitive. And then they got to the Rutgers game, dominated the Rutgers game, turned the quarterback over a bunch, and he had not thrown an interception all season before that game. And I think there was like 1 or 2 pick sixes in that game. I can't remember. Denzel Burke is unbelievable right now. I think he leads the country, or at least he's top 2 in the country in pass breakups or pass contested or something like that. So he's dominant, and he's a true freshman as well. So this defense is finally coming together. The Maryland game, everybody was worried about Tagovailoa. They were worried that he was going to be too athletic, too dynamic for the Buckeye defense to stop. He was a non-factor in this game. He looked shell-shocked. He looked bad. He looked like a freshman quarterback out there, and he's not. He's like a junior at this point. So he looked bad. He did not look good at all, and the Buckeye defense capitalized on that, and now we sit at number 6 in the AP poll, 1 ahead of Alabama, which I don't understand that at all, because Alabama lost to an unranked Texas A&M team that Texas A&M sucks, and somehow beat Alabama, and Alabama only falls from 1 to 5, and yet Ohio State fell from, what were they, like 4? They fell from 4 to like 11 or something when they lost to Oregon, and Oregon was a ranked team. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. The Buckeyes are 6. Next week they play Indiana. I'm pretty sure they play Indiana next Saturday. But that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to do kind of a little recap of the first 6 weeks of the season, kind of give you a full breakdown of what has gone on through the first couple weeks of the season, and so that you don't have to go back and watch each one of my reviews of the games on those Sundays. You can just watch this video, and you can kind of get a feel for what has gone down in a kind of shortened, condensed version of that. So thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. Make sure to smash that like button, hit that notification bell, join the Juice Club, subscribe to the channel, and I'll leave you with this. OH.